Well, hello my friends. Furtado here, the Rebel Turner. Got a new hat. Today is going to be kind of a continuing of what I did yesterday. Yesterday I was out here and I did a couple of turnings. So, not bad considering I'm only home for the weekend for a couple of days. Gotta leave today again. But anyway, I was out here and I did a square mahogany shaped with the rings. That worked out pretty good finally after a few attempts. Then I decided to make a large, what I was told was maple when I picked up the wood, which was local. And I did a large bowl with an inner bowl in it. Well, my wife likes it, but she's like, oh, Albert, I'd really like you to make a big bowl like this without this setting. Yesterday was a debate whether if I wanted to go the artistic look or the functional look. I went to the artistic look, but the wife wants the functional look, or the functional bowl. So that's what I'm going to do, is diameter, and I cut it on the bandsaw right in half. So I got the secondary half to this log. This was the exposed part, so it has a little bit of checking. So this will end up being the top of the bowl, as the checking is not going through the outside over here. And once I start turning, I will be hollowing that out. So this part will be the bottom. Now this has a little bit of spalting going through it, and the colors really amazed me. Well, not that it's the prettiest of colors I've ever seen, but it gave me somewhat interesting look to what would normally be a maple piece. And I had a lot of browns on this. So again, I'm not so sure this is maple. When I set up a big piece like this, the first thing that I want to do is balance it off, not by finding centers, but by finding weight. So I hang it very lightly between the spur drive and the live center. I can put pressure on it as well, because my lathe, the belts ride pretty free, so it's not like I have to loosen belts or anything like that. So seeing that it's heavy on this side, I back up the tailstock a little bit and I just wedge it up slightly, a little bit on the back, and do the same thing in the front. So I keep the pressure now against the tailstock, and when I say little, I was so close that I mean little. Now, I just said this was going to be the top, but change of mind. And the reason why I change of mind is because the bark from being exposed to the weather is all loose on this side, and I want to make it a natural edge around here. So that's going to mess me up, because I won't be able to keep this bark over here. This is separated more or less up to here from the rainwater and all that stuff seeping in. So I actually want to flip it over and do this to bottom, even though it has that check mark. So same thing, I went to the same points that I already had established. Plenty of pressure. So you can see that I would not be able to maintain this. There's no way in the world. So this bark would have all gone flying away, and it's still, I will probably still take some precautions on the top side once I get to that. The tool rest on this case slightly below center. And speed is going to go around 400 RPM to start off with. Blade is pretty dull, and I really try not to wear down my bowl gouge too much. I use that for areas that I really need to. So I got a roughing gouge here, and I will use this for a little bit. Okay, it's taking a little time to get this roughed up. Got some voids going through here, surprisingly. A little bit of tear out, but these aren't tear outs. I mean, this is a separation on a ring, because those go pretty deep. There's fibers in between, but so it's one of those cases that I cannot have there, not for a piece like this anyway. So fill it up, a little bit of CA. Using a square carbide cutter on the inside of a bowl. Like before, I've used the push cut with a bowl gouge. The only thing you have to really do is start it off with a corner, just like I'm showing there. Start it off with a corner, like a beating tool, and then start pulling on the outside edge, or pushing, whichever direction you want to go. And it will give you a nice cut, a little easier than a bowl gouge to use. So this is how you would use a non-traditional tool on end grain.
Now don't forget, it's really not end grain because you're just pulling up along amongst the fibers. So it's really like spindle cutting. So go in with a corner. Then when you deep enough, whoops. Use the outside edge to do your cut. When you're going in, you do the same. Bring your handle way in. And it's nice and easy. it's time to apply a little bit of Yorkshire grit. And you're going to see that even though this is maple, I was wondering if it was maple on the first piece, but there's no question about it, it is maple. But this thing is going to change color dramatically. Have not seen maple come up red and pink like this. The spalting on this looks pretty good. This tree has been cut down for about 2.5 months, I'd say. But it was a tree that was already decaying, so you know, it wasn't totally green. It was wet, but not live wet. But anyway, so well, I'm back to finish up this piece. I just applied the third coat of lacquer, and between the second coat and this coat that I just gave, I ran this kind of Scotch-Brite pad in there, which flattened it all up, and then I was able to seal it one more time with the well, well, here it is, bowl 2 from the same piece of maple. Still, the color is very odd, but it's definitely maple based on what I could see. The people that cut it down told me it had been maple, but yesterday when I was turning the first piece and didn't pay much attention to the grain and to where it possessed, but I was skeptical and doubting the fact that it was maple. But it's maple. Today was it became obvious. Well, I mean, it's a big bowl. It's 13.5 inches. I'm assuming 13 by 11. So it's 13 inches the long way from this end, and 10 inches this way. And it's about 4.5 inches deep. One thing that I have come to realize is I gotta give credit to people that do these huge pieces. The bigger you go, the harder it is for you to give a good finish. This is respectable, but far from being what I was trying to achieve. Tool marks is not too bad as far as I'm concerned. Could have probably spent just a little bit more time on the sanding on that. The bottom is was just sanded 80 grit, put my stamp on it, and sealed it, and sprayed one coat of lacquer. The character that it possesses is pretty nice. You know, the coloration's going through here, the spalting. It has taken spalting very quick on this piece. So I'm rather pleased with it. But like I said, you know, you do see a little bit of shadowing going through here, which I'm not that happy with. But overall, all the bark stood intact. The thickness is about 3/8 of an inch thick, all the way down to the bottom. It's a big bowl, so it should not be too dainty in a sense of how thin you make it. But, you know, you can't tell because the bark is razor sharp. It's the edging has no knockdown whatsoever on it. It's what the tool created. That's what the thickness of the edge is. So it makes it for a very fine piece. But the bark is pretty brittle on this this piece of wood. It's not going to come off. You could chip away a piece and it would still maintain the same look because of the jaggedness. So anyway, I got enough to bring with me to North Carolina as far as videos are concerned. I would say it's a productive weekend. Came home, spent a little time in the house, spent a little bit, maybe a little bit more on the shed than I did inside the house. But anyway, I was able to make 3 turnings. This one, the one just like this but with a dome in the middle, and I did the mahogany ringed vase. I was pleased with that one because I have done a few attempts and it's hard to get those little rings with just a 3/16 of an inch, an 1/8 of an inch gap in between each one of them without them blowing out. So on that one I was rather pleased on the final results. So make sure that even if you're watching this one, make sure you see that other one. It's you know, it's an interesting piece. I think it got a huge response on Facebook when I posted pictures on it, and I think it should do well for you guys. Well, thanks for watching, and don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe, and mostly share with your friends. That is how it helps me out a great deal. I appreciate all the gestures, and I go through some of you, and I see so many of you linking my videos. Thank you. But it takes an effort on anybody and everybody that likes the piece to do the same thing, follow it up, and share with your friends, just in case they like it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.